everyone, Voodoo here, and today I'm here with a video about some changes that are coming to the best builds of trinkets to use for Havoc Demon Hunter in the raid. Now, these changes aren't actually to the builds themselves, but more so caused because of how easy all these raid bosses are. So in today's video, we're going to go over that, go over the changes and the trinkets and stuff like that. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Help the channel grow. Make sure you follow me on Twitch and Twitter and stuff too. Help me out there, and let's go into the video. So I guess the first things first here is what is the build. So this is the low mover build. This is our highest simming 5-minute sim single target build. You're using Anvil, you're using Cataclysm and Signet brand with this, and it does the most damage by about 2%, 2-3%, somewhere in that range. The other build is this one, Inertia. This uses the same trinkets for the most part. It does better with Guzzler, Grief Torch, it does better with Ashes. But for the most part, same stuff. This is really close behind the other one and is much better in multi-target scenarios. And basically everything coming into this was that this build was ahead. It's more ahead if you take soul sigils, which does affect things. All these sims are without soul sigils because of how useful darkness is, at least early on. But basically what we're seeing is that the raids are incredibly easy, and we'll swap to that in a second. But the raids being so easy, them slapping the extra 10% health and damage nerf onto them, them also just tuning them so poorly, like they're really poorly tuned. We're not even that highly geared yet and things are falling over. So with that happening, it does lead to things potentially changing. So let's take a look at some logs here. Oh, here we go. So this is this week. So if we look at all these bosses, we'll look at some duration. So this is Kazara. Now, obviously these are all the first bosses, right? And this is all Havoc stuff. We're not looking at everything else. Kazara averages around 3 minutes. Amalg's around 3 minutes. Run Experiments around 3.5. I guess you can get 5 by this one guy. But for the most part, 3 minutes or so. Assault doesn't really matter. Rashok is around 5 minutes, more or less. Zaskarn's around 3.5 to 4.5 minutes. Magmarax is roughly 4.5 minutes. Echo is like 6.5, and Sark is also roughly 6.5 minutes. Those are very short times. If you go over and look at Vault is the raid we did last week. See here that Aranog 3 minutes, 3.5. Taros is like 5 something. Primal Council is like 3 something. Stenarth's like 6 to 7. Dathia is like 6 to 7. Kurog is 7 to 8.5. Broodkeeper is like 8 and 9 minutes, and then Raz is like 13, 11, 10, 12 minutes, somewhere in that range. But the thing here, all right, if we look at all these eye levels, most of them are 500 to 507. You'll get one 510 person down here towards the end, especially with like Raz or something. You'll get higher eye levels. But generally speaking, a lot of these fights, the people are around 500 eye level, right? 505 maybe. We can probably average it out to 505, 506, somewhere in that range. If we go and look at this one, all right away, you see these are very high. 512, 515, 516. I think there's a 518 right here. And and further down we go, the higher eye level it's going to be as well. 516, 516, 518. So it's been a 10 eye level jump from this week to last, which shoots up how much damage we're doing. And we only have 1 bullion so far. Now with more eye level to go, right? So 528 is going to be the cap. So people are still on average 13 eye level below where they're going to end up. They've only used 1 bullion. We only have 1 craft. There's lots of things that are missing. That's for everybody across the raid too. That's not just for Havocs. Lots of people will gain a lot of power. I think a lot of these logs were made with the bugged axe where it couldn't go all the way up too. So there's a lot of power still on the table to be gotten from a lot of these bosses, right? Like these ones are only 330, 336. Where's a single target boss? I guess we can go Magmarax, 352, 330, something like that. I guess also you're seeing a lot of resets for Grief Torch for parsing, which we knew would happen. But there's a lot more power on the table, which means that these fight times are going to get even lower, right? I wouldn't be surprised if most bosses are going to end up in the 3-minute range, with some of the early ones being even lower. Some of the later ones probably still hit 5 minutes. What that means is that these sims we've done aren't the best. So here we are with the 5-minute sim, right? So this number can go up and down. There's margin of error in it or whatever. So Trinket Sim here, we still have this one coming on top with Signet brand. There's also Augury that comes up pretty close to it. Inertia, the other build here with Grief Torch and Anvil, comes up very close as well. Grief Torch and Anvil with this build is roughly equal to the other one. And of course there's resets and stuff like that as well. being behind this Cataclysm Signet brand build. But these things need the fight to go to 5 minutes. Now, Anvil in itself is very, very strong. It's very good, but it doesn't need it. It needs like 3 minutes where it starts to be good. So I've also shown and gotten a 3-minute sim here. And you'll notice that on 3 minutes, we actually have Ashes and Pocket Anvil sim better. Now, I don't think you should use Ashes unless there's like a ton of AoE adds to nuke up with it every time you use it. But on these short fights, Inertia pulls ahead of the other build here. Now, that being said, I think that using something like Anvil and Mana Grief Torch or Anvil and Ashes are probably going to be better for the other build. But we see it using Augury and Pocket Anvil. And if we scroll down, it takes a long time till we find even our first Signet brand one. So this is current gear with Signet brand 403. And even further down, we see there's the other Signet brand one there. So Signet brand's not very good on 3 minutes. And even saying that, the other build, Inertia, is just a little bit better. Now, that is, of course, with Ashes, with the other Augury Elemental Pocket Anvil still being a little bit better for this build. But with Ashes, it actually sims a little bit ahead. So what does that mean? Well, that means that on these shorter fights here, if you can get an Ashes, which you're going to want anyways for Mythic Plus, you're going to get an Anvil. Even if you can get a Grief Torch, any of those things will be good. Probably wouldn't use Ashes and Grief Torch. I actually don't know where that ends up. I have no idea where that would be down here. I don't know how it would sim it. We still haven't found it. Wow, okay, I'm still going here. Have not found it yet. Okay, it seems like a pretty bad combination. We're gonna stop looking for that. But Ashes Grief Torch, probably not great. But if you have any other combination of those trinkets, and it's a short fight, 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes, then using Inertia will probably end up being better for you. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use the other build once you have more gear, and it is better on like longer single target fights, but we're not really going to have that many of those. So it turns out that even though this one does sim the best, it's more than likely that because these fights are so easy and so short, that you'll probably end up just playing Inertia more often than not because of the burst it has, right? And we talked about that a lot during the original, like the start of the season, where the burst is better with Inertia, which means that if there's adds, if it's a short fight, if there's burst damage that's important, it'll end up being better. And here we are. Turns out when all of the fights are so severely undertuned that they last like 3 minutes and under, while we're 13 eye levels below the cap with like half of our trinkets and strong items missing, you're going to end up having a really, really easy fight where burst is just so much more important because of how much damage everybody is doing. So that does suck for people who do enjoy the other build, but again, you know, it's really not that far behind. So realistically, what I'm saying here, don't grab a Signet brand. I would not grab one. I would have it as one of your last things to get because of how, you know, long the fights need to go for it to do anything. However, Anvil right now still is very good. It is a little RNG, but so is Augury. So are all the trinkets like that. So it is just that way. But Ashes, another good pickup. Grief Torch, another great pickup. And as we can see over on some of these parse things here, we see a lot of Grief Torches. That's more so because of the resets and the deaths that are happening. I know on one of the Rash Shock kills I looked at, I think it was this one, there's like 30 resets of Grief Torch on this. Grief Torch was cast 6 times in a 5-minute fight. Now it's a 2-minute cooldown, so that means you're getting a lot of casts. So, you know, if you can end up to bribe your raid to die, Grief Torch is going to be great for you. But otherwise, Anvil, Ashes, Grief Torch, Augury, all great trinkets. Probably not needed a Signet brand unless you get one. Maybe grab one towards the end. But the fights are just so short, probably not worth it. So there you go. That's gonna be the video today. Short little video. Plan is to have a Vengeance guide out early next week. Sorry, it was supposed to be today, but I just needed more time to finish it up and edit it and stuff like that. So yeah, so let me know what you think. Again, both builds are super playable. They're both about equal. So play whatever you want. One's easier. Honestly, I've kind of swapped back and forth in some fights just to mess around with it because, like, why not, right? But yeah, so that's the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. Become a channel member if you want to support me. Use my code down below for G Fuel, stuff like that. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace. A big thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you, Sky Elk, Andrew Keenel, 100,001 Zans, Brad Wisniak, Felfa Darren Dark Terror, and Magic Man 133. Thank you all so much. If you want to help support me and help fund the channels and the videos, follow the link in the description to become a channel member and get some cool perks in the process. Again, thank you all so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.